Tell us about your background, actually. How did you get into IT?
Well, I've always liked computers from my childhood. I started out by going to use my friends' computers to
Play
games. So we all started with the games.
Yeah, sure.
And then I started playing with Microsoft Word, I think in class 4, class 5. And then designing these, the timetable for the class.
Yeah.
So after I would design them and sort of paste them in the class. So I started using Microsoft Word, and I sort of just got drawn to that. So when I was in Pope John Senior High, I and my friend started the IT club, and then
in the school.
In the school, yes, and we sort of created a program to train the students, other students, and everyone else, and to sort of and that club is still in existence today. And when I went to university, I decided to study computer science, and from university got into the IT sector, and then
the mainstream IT
the mainstream,
business.
Yeah.
And how did FloodGates all start? What was the inspiration?
So I mentioned that when I was in university, Catholic University, FIAPRE, we used to develop software, me and my friends. And so we would develop all kinds of software. I mean, once we learned how to build the software, we realized the kind of problems that it can solve. So we started building shop and warehouse management systems, point of sale systems. This was around 2010, about 11 years ago. We built a full paperless hospital management system.
Wow.
Yeah, we built lab management systems, all these kind of things, just things that we knew businesses needed, software, and then we started selling them while we were in school.
You should be consulting for Agenda 111.
Yeah, I have quite a number of things to say about that project as well. Yeah,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, to contribute to the project, I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, so since then, we started a company at the time, and that company failed. Due to certain reasons. I mean, we were just students in school who were running the company and selling software to businesses. And then we advanced. So by the time we finished university, then I got into the payments and fintech spaces, and then proceeded to actually develop within that space primarily.
Now, I would imagine that the only thing you would need to start a computer business is maybe a computer and a stable internet connection. Is that the case?
It should be, and it's close, but there are a lot of legal things to handle, especially with your company registration, and you need to think about the kind of business that you want to run, and all of that. So, I actually started FloodGates Technology as a sole proprietorship business. I think that was about 3 years ago in 2018, and then ran that for about 2 years, and then sort of had a few people working in and doing all that. While I even was doing that while I had my full-time job as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so you're doing alongside
yes,
and then job.
Yes. So we were doing a few things, building software, websites, and other stuff. And then 2 years ago was when we decided to go full limited liability. And then I got another executive partners, and we scaled up the operation. And then I quit my job and then went full-time. Yes.
And so what exactly do you do at FloodGates? Is it just about apps building and things like that?
So we sort of see ourselves as trying to use technology to solve the challenges that people and businesses face. And we recognize a lot of them. And one of the reasons why we are able to deal with them is because we have experienced those same challenges ourselves. In the clip that played, we talked about crowdfunding when we built a crowdfunding platform. That because we realized that there were challenges with raising funds and actually creating an accountable platform where you can actually see the way the funds are raised and who is contributing and all that. And then we also looked at a number of other things.
You were doing that for at the office level, at the workplace?
No,
crowdfunding?
Yeah, so basically you can go on the platform and then raise funds.
Okay.
So if it's an NGO, we had partnerships with certain NGOs so that they could raise their funds through that platform. Yes, because most NGOs would put a mobile money number out there, or if you are raising funds, you put a mobile money number, people send money. Sometimes it gets to a limit, I think about 5,000 or so, and then you cannot receive the funds anymore.
Oh, okay.
And so this gives you larger limits. This actually gives you a track record. You're able to track how much money you have raised in there, and then so you are even able to provide updates so that people can see what you did with the money. The people who are sort of concerned about what you raised the money for.
Yeah. And aside from that, what other products have you worked on?
So our flagship product is called Trustur.
Trustur.
And
okay. What is it?
So it's basically a security and identity trust ecosystem. And I'm going to explain it because these are quite technical terms. In Sweden, they have something called Bank ID. And it's an app that they use to access all services.
Okay.
That's
services?
Bank services, financial, everything. And they have about 90% of the population on that platform using it. Wow. And yes, so that's actually one of the reasons why they were able to become a cashless country. So in Sweden, they do less than 1% of cash transactions. And most of the banks do not even accept cash at all.
It's all cashless.
Yes, and all of this was driven by that. So we have a partnership with the founders of the company and the people who developed that system for Sweden. And then we saw how a system like that could actually help to solve some of the challenges that we have here. So for example, when in Ghana, we have an issue of identity. And this has been spoken about for a long time. You are not able to identify people, and you are not able to actually trust them for who they say they are. So when you go to the bank, they give you 4 pages of KYC forms to fill. I mean, that's one of the things I hate
wasting so much
doing.
time.
Yeah, feel, and you know the funny thing, you've already given that information to so many other banks all over the place. And
sometimes you wonder whether the data you're giving out is quite safe.
Exactly.
The protection.
Exactly. So that's why we call it Trustur.
Okay.
So Trustur is an ecosystem that solves the problem of identity and security for all services within the ecosystem. So for banks, healthcare institutions, any institution at all that needs to authenticate who someone is. So with Trustur, if you're on Trustur, you set up your account, and then you are able to then use that to open an account with a bank. Okay. So with this, you can actually just go on in 30 seconds, you open an account because your information is all already there. So you just download the app and then you upload your IDs.
Okay, with any bank?
Yes, any bank. Okay. So we are onboarding all of the banks, but we have the functionality to onboard with any bank, whereby we will forward all of that to the banks to process.
Oh, okay.
And then we also have a module for credit, whereby you can go on there. And then because we already have your information, which is protected by you on your device, we are able to process that and then connect you to various financial institutions who can offer you a loan credit.
Okay. All right.
So depending on if you want to, one of the things we are bringing out is to be able to pay your rent with credit. So once you are there, we know you're a verified person because we verified your addressing, we verified your ID cards, your identity, and we verify your occupation as well. So by verifying these 3 things and the additional factors, and we allow people to endorse their friends and their family or people that they know. So I can say, oh, I know Emmanuel. And because I know Emmanuel and 10 other people know Emmanuel, any institution that needs to trust your profile can trust it. Because if we need to find you, we can find everyone else who has vouched for you of sorts. We call it corporate due diligence. And these things, this kind of solution can help to solve the challenge of institutions, especially financial institutions, not knowing who their customers are. So KYC is know your customer, and it's something, these are directives that the Bank of Ghana has actually brought out for banks to implement and have all that. And we have a number of things that we have an authentication system that you can use to log into any institution. So it's just one password, and then you use it with any bank, any service that is within the ecosystem. So you don't need to remember 30 passwords. You have to remember this PIN here. You need to remember this internet banking password. You need to remember all these things. So we are just sort of growing out the ecosystem one by one. Okay. So once you're on that platform, we call it a digital services passport. It automatically connects you to all kinds of services, insurance, real estate, connects you to banking services, that has credit, finance, payments, and all of that.
So you're into all of these, sectors.
Yes.
But how many businesses are you actually dealing with?
How many businesses?
Yes, are hooked onto your platform.
So we are currently growing out the ecosystem. For the banks, we have a number of banks that are coming. I don't want to mention the names here, but we have a number of banks that are already signed on, and there are a few others. And then we are not just building this in isolation. Our partners are the Swedish company that actually helped to do the bank ID system
in Sweden.
Okay. And then we have partners in Singapore. We have partners in India, Liberia, and other African countries as well.
Okay. Yeah. Now, one of the main, concerns of many people who go onto the internet, so to speak, is the fact that, security is a major concern. I mean, cyber security, when I talk about security. how are you able to overcome some of these hackers? How you get to are you able to overcome some of these miscreants who come onto these platforms?
Yes. So this is why we call it Trustur, because we are saying that anybody you are working with on this platform can be trusted because they have gone through a verification process. And that's what we call the KYC process, the Know Your Customer process. Their IDs have been verified, addresses have been verified, occupations have been verified. And this provides you with a score. So we have low trust and high trust. So even with our app, if I meet you and I don't know you, you can actually give me a code to scan. And when I scan, it can tell me whether you're a high trust person or a low trust person based on your profile on there. So this can help to actually solve some of the challenges that we have with online market services. You know, you buy something on Instagram and then it never comes and you can't trace the person. This actually helps you to verify a lot of those things. And our service actually reduces the burden of security on the person. So I don't have to remember 500 passwords to be able to access services. And so I just use one. And the system is encrypted in such a way that when you intercept the data transfer, maybe if you hack into the channel, you actually cannot, the system is, the data transfer is encrypted. So it's not human, it's not readable to the human being. With that thing, you now have to go and probably use a computer, a supercomputer to crack the encryption. And by the time you finish cracking it, it has changed.
But is it the interface friendly enough? Is it interactive?
Yes, that's one of the most important things. And how do you make this easy? So for our loan acquisition process, it's maximum 3 steps. Everything that you do is 3 steps. Opening an account with a bank is 3 steps. You just tap, you select the bank, you select the account type, and then it's processed instantly.
Now, so what other countries is your ecosystem working in apart from maybe Sweden?
Okay, so we have partnerships with various institutions, and we are looking at a scaling strategy. So we are not only looking at letting this system work in Ghana. So we want a Ghanaian to be able to go to Kenya, and then any institution in Kenya should be able to trust that Ghanaian because they are on the platform. So we are building an international network of trust and on identity and security and services.
Okay.
So we have, at the moment, we are currently talking to various institutions in Liberia, the Gambia, Nigeria, and Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay.
And then that's for Africa. We also have certain integrations that we are doing for the UK and the US to allow diasporans to also be able to access services in Ghana without having to come physically. And you still be able to trust their identity and for the services that they provide, because some of them want to do things in Ghana, but it's difficult to do that.
Now that the African trade environment is expanding through AfCFTA, the Continental Free Trade Area, how do you plan to leverage this, big?
That's very interesting. There's a protocol with the AU. It's called the Free Movement of Persons and Right of Establishment.
Exactly.
And this says that a person who is recognized in a country and their credentials should also be recognized in other countries as well. And these are even the things that they are using to develop the African passport. And so the AfCFTA and then the AU has these protocols in place and to allow to sort of try to promote interoperability of services. And to allow trusted institutions in one place to be able to operate in other places. So one thing that we are looking at is scaling across Africa. That's our main focus now. Scaling across Africa, going to other countries and connecting them into this ecosystem to allow interoperability. So with just your mobile app, you go to a new country, you can still access most of the services that are there, and it allows you to do all this will be done based on the policy efforts and everything that's been done by the AU and the AF.
And you think there's enough policy to help drive your business in Africa?
There isn't enough. Yeah, it's for example, data protection laws. The Ghana has a Data Protection Act. A lot of countries don't have that. When you look at financial services regulation and other things, Ghana is a bit high. Some countries have them, but it's not gone very far. Most countries don't have a digital ID. For example, we have the national ID, which is a very, very important core factor in building a trust system like this.
Would that not be an obstacle?
It will be. It will be. So for every country, there are new things that you have to do that you are probably not doing in other countries. But it's all part of growing that ecosystem. But the good thing is that in Africa, our challenges are very common between countries. So when you solve a problem for Ghana, and then you go to Sierra Leone, it's not going to, the environment is not too different. The challenges are not drastically different. So you can actually scale that much easily. And then based on what you have learned and what you've built in Ghana, you can actually just easily deploy that in this area.
Interesting conversation. How does one get to you? I mean, get onto your ecosystem?
Yes, so you can reach us at floodgates.solutions.
Okay.
So www.floodgates.solutions. And you can also call our phone numbers, and then or send an email to info@floodgates.solutions.
Right. Thank you very much, Oswald Nondaga, CEO of FloodGates Limited, and he has been a guest on Business One-on-One. Thank you very much for staying with us. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. We are feedback.